going on, everybody? Figured come on real quick, do a quick live in light of the video that's going around that Alberta Proud shared regarding AJ Braun. Now, you know, last week my wife and I got some dude tried to run us off the Henday, followed us from a place where we were getting signatures, and then targeted us, trying to ram our car, trying to get us, you know, cut us off. And then we have AJ Braun, who's First Nations. And AJ and these radical First Nations individuals really, this needs to stop, this behavior. Because I will say this, you know, as a person who grew up with tradition, who grew up on res, you know, and grew up with First Nations all around me my entire life, not once did we ever resort to that kind of behavior and target people just because we disagree over an opinion. Look it. You know, you guys seem to think that you own things that you don't own, right? You seem to think that everything is yours and you historically guilt shame everybody for it. But remember, it's the Crown. It's the government of Canada that took our family members and put them into schools, that went and eradicated our tribes and our communities at the beginning of our history. But you want to guilt shame every one of us to this day and think that we're responsible because you couldn't, you know, do whatever in the past. It's not our fault, right? And as a Métis person myself who's learnt tradition, this behavior of violence and targeting people just because you don't like what they say, it needs to stop. And I'm going to say this, the elders and the chiefs who have been barking and adding to this, adding to the behavior with your rhetoric, you guys need to cool it, need to calm down, because this is unacceptable, targeting people and you think you own everything. Shit, you don't even take care of our roads. You don't take care of nothing. You don't own our homes. You don't own the properties that we live on. You don't, nothing. You know, that alone, you can't even take care of your own reserves. But you want to go out and allow people, your own members from your own communities, to go out and seek violence against other people because you can't have it your own way. This is absolutely absurd, and it's actually embarrassing. As a Métis person, I'm embarrassed of the First Nations people who act this way. There's a lot of great First Nations and Métis people out there who support independence, who have signed the petition. So you might want to ask yourselves why our brothers and sisters are working collectively to get their signatures on paper, because they want the same thing as the rest of us. And they understand that they have a vote, they have a voice, they have a choice. But AJ Braun and his pals who think they are all whatever, want to go out and target our canvassers and assault them? And then your buddy's trying to run me and my wife off the road? Like, this has got to stop. So, I don't know, the police better do something, because this is, you know what I mean? It's unacceptable behavior. And I'm just going to say this. For the Forever Canadian campaign that happened, nobody went and did that to you. You know, when you guys have your pride rallies and whatever protests you guys do, we're not out there chastising you and harassing you or doing anything like that. We're not targeting you when you're in your little, getting your signatures, right? But the only thing that we complained about is Forever Canadian campaign cheated. During the elections, they had their booths on property where there was voting polls, and Elections Alberta didn't do nothing. And let me add to that, Elections Alberta also disqualified 50,000 signatures for the Forever campaign, the Forever Canadian campaign. And on top of that, they didn't need to check anybody's ID to get the signatures for their petition. So you want to complain, right? Now, I'm going to add to this. You know, since Trudeau was in power and we've watched the fall of Canada, of the government using state propaganda to divide and categorize everybody and then shame everybody because they're responsible for the atrocities and horrors that they committed, but want to use the First Nations people as a guinea pig to propagate a message and blame it on everyone else and call us colonizers and white supremacists and all this stuff. I'm wondering, First Nations that are like this, are you going to call the new people that just come into Canada colonizers too? Are you going to call Ukrainian people white supremacists and racists as well? Are you going to do that to all the... I don't see you saying any of that. I actually see you guys forming coalitions to protest foreign issues on our own streets. That's what's going on. Let's call it for what it is. And maybe those paychecks from the state should stop, right? Because that's what's happening. We got these paid agitators on top of all this bullshit that we all have to deal with right now. It's, right-wing extremism. You know what? We should put that in a whole class of itself. We should just say right-wing extremists and radicals who hate everybody and use violence to push their messaging are in fact the Rainbow Warriors and all the people who are part liberal, part NDP, who don't give two shits about any one of us. First Nations, let me ask you something. You say you care about this land so much and care about your people, and every child matters, then why do you have your own children on the streets facing drug addiction and homelessness, and you're not lifting a finger to get them off the streets and bring them back into your communities and help them? Right? We want to call it out. We can call everything out. I'm so sick and tired of this nonsense. Even the other day I was with John the Patriot. We're on White Avenue, and again, a First Nations individual, and he's screaming gang numbers at us, right? Gang numbers, like he's repping his gang. Like, what is this? It's unbelievable, the behavior and the drop of mentality in human beings and grown adults. Oh, I didn't get my own way. Oh, I'm going to go have a temper tantrum and start hitting people like a 2-year-old does. Right? Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're showing your true colors in your own, and the level of intelligence that you have when you do these things. So I'm calling it out. Nobody should have to deal with this kind of behavior from any of them. And you know what? Those of us who are canvassers are putting our lives on basically now we're putting our lives on the line, because we have to worry about being assaulted, run off the road and get into an accident. Maybe, what's next? Are we going to have an incident where someone's going to, go on a rampage? Like, this is got to stop. First Nations chiefs and elders, you need to get a grip on your messaging, and you need to put your people in check and stop and condone this stuff. You need to put a stop and say something, because this is your people that's doing this, not anyone else. It's not an East Indian. It's not an immigrant. It's your people, right? So when does it end when you historically guilt shame Canadians for crimes that the Crown committed against you, against my own family as well? Some of our families have been here a lot longer than the Crown, and we faced the same tribulations. You don't see us going out there guilt shaming the rest of the population and blaming my neighbor because he's white, right? Or he's French or whatever. I'm not blaming them, because it has nothing to do with them. Stop blaming everybody for your problems. Maybe get your reserves in check. Maybe start going after your corrupt chiefs who scam you all the time. Do something about the gangs on your reserves who are going after your own women and then taking them and kidnapping them off your reserve and then dropping them off in another city in fucking trap houses. And that's the truth. But nobody wants to do anything about that. You want to scream at Albertans or Canadians and call us all these horrible names, but your tradition dictates to yourself, right? Your tradition dictates of inclusiveness and welcoming and being always welcoming and showing that you're compassionate towards others. And Martin, you're right. Martin Bruyère's family's been here for 400 years. My family's been here since 1496. Our families are pioneers of this nation, right? Pioneers of this nation who intermixed and had strong relationships with the First Nations people and the tribes on the land, and then the Crown came in and took it from us. And then did the same things to us they did to them. I have family that are still living in Louisiana since the Acadian expulsion. I have family that had farms taken away from the Crown of Canada. Why? Because we want to own it and we're going to tell you it's best for you. So we're going to, that's what Canada does. Canada's become a laughing stock on the international stage and with its own citizens. They're turning against their own citizens and turning and reining in communist China regime bullshit. And then while they're doing that, they're dividing the whole entire country up with their state propaganda garbage. CTV, CBC, the LGBTQ, all this garbage, right? Because some people can't get enough. They can't, you can't control yourself. That's the problem. These people cannot control themselves. They obviously a mental health issue. Maybe it's a side effect from too many fucking drugs they're taking from Big Pharma because, You know, I have to get disability because I can't, like, give me a break, man. We all go through shit in our life, but I'm not blaming everybody for my fucking problems. You know, if I told people the life I had, man, you know, I'm like other stories. No, lived in fucking ghettos, man. Lived on the streets, went through the shit, had a rough life, watched my mom get beat up every fucking day and get my ass kicked every day. But you don't see me going blaming everybody else for my problem and asking to go on disability because I need a fucking pill because I can't handle what happened to me in the past. That's the problem. People dwell in their shit. You need to get out of your shit to do something with your life to get ahead. That's what you got to do. Grab your life by the balls and run with it. But instead, we got people guilt-shaming others because of historical shit that has nothing to do with today. Absolutely nothing to do with today. But that's the mentality of what we live in this society today, because the government said so, because we have politicians who've turned their backs on Canadians all for a fucking vote, and for the globalists and corporate lobbyists, you know, and that's all they want. Money, 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 and they don't give a shit. We're being treated like animals. That's what's happening in this country, and people need to wake up. The population, entire population, need to realize that the government are treating us like animals. The government is involved in human trafficking, which is called mass immigration. The government is in state propaganda with fucking brainwash tactics, paying off the state media, and to tell you that, oh, you're this and that and this and that, and then blame Trump for all our problems when it's our own government who's caused it. That's the problem with Canada. Canada can never look at itself and accept responsibility for the crimes they commit, for the actions they commit. It's always blame somebody else. Just like the First Nations, when you went after their people, and you went after and you threw them into fucking POW camps we call reservations today, because that's what it is. A reservation is another term for a POW camp, and people don't like it when I say that, but that's exactly what it is, because you gave them an ID called a fucking status card to tell them that they're a second-class citizen, and then you keep giving their chiefs money, and they still don't have running water. You have the reserves run down, and you're empowering them to hate your own citizens for the faults that you committed, right? That's the plain fact here. I'm so sick of it. And it has to be said. Somebody's got to call it out. And I'll keep calling it out. Some people don't like me when I say shit like this. But you know what? We're fed up. You know, all we're trying to do is I'm trying to go out there and get signatures for people, and I have to worry about some dimwit. I had to put fucking cams on my car so I can feel a little bit more safe in case something does happen to me. It's recorded. Like, that's stupid. Why do we have to do all these things? Because we're trying to do something right for the people. For the people. Not for me. Not for politicians. Not for corporate fucking globalists. For us. That's including all of us. So maybe everybody who's against us should wake up and smell the coffee and figure out what the fuck has Canada done so good for you to hold on to their tits. Is it the cash flow? Is it your fucking weekly or your every couple of months GST? Or is it your welfare check that you sew up? Or is it your treaty payment? Is that what it is? Is it the gravy fucking train that keeps you on? That keeps you on the bitch to chastise an entire nation because you can't have your own fucking way? Seriously, guys, I'm sorry I'm swearing, but it upsets me. I'm so fed up. I've taken enough shit in the last 10 years by leftwads that went out, targeted my kids, got me fired from places of work, targeted my brands, went after my business, went after my friends' businesses, got my friends fired from a mortgage company, got a professor from Laurentian University fired. This is what they do. This is what they fucking do. So at some point, a lot of us have enough of your shit. Like, seriously, it's bad enough you go after our kids, confusing them with gender dysphoria, and they're out fucking doing mass shootings. Like, what the hell, man? Is that enough? No, nobody else to blame. You can't blame our side. You cannot even point the finger at our side because we're not in control. We had nothing to do with it. We've been advocating against it since day one, but instead you keep running with it. You keep doing it. And then when we call it out, you use more guilt shaming as to why we shouldn't call it out. Fucking crybabies. Seriously, man, grow up. A bunch of fucking grown adults that act like 2-year-old kids who don't get their way, or when they're getting their, you know what, you get punished when somebody takes your treat away. Is that what it is? You're taking your candy away, you're having a fit, right? Unbelievable. Politicians are responsible. All the federal politicians, every fucking one of them. I don't care. I don't care about federal parties or politicians on the federal side anymore. I have zero support for them because they're the problem. They're all the problem. Remember during COVID, they all, like, all 3 party leaders, actually was with the Green Party too, all 4 party leaders standing together like a bunch of retards. Oh, we're all in it together. Oh, go get your jab. Go get your jab. So go with your super sniffle that doesn't exist. Go get your experiment. Right? That's exactly what governments did around the world. And Canada doubled down on its citizens and forced citizens into compliance to take an experiment. And if you can't say it wasn't forced, I don't know, what was the unions doing again? If you don't get a job, you don't come to work. Government, same thing. You don't get a job, you don't come to work. You couldn't even go shopping, for fuck's sakes, and we're still living that bullshit aftermath. You know what the problem is people are too jabbed up. They're having mental instability issues as a side effect from the vaccines, because that's exactly what that is. And it started the minute they started giving shots in. It's bullshit. Anyways, I'm just saying what I gotta say because I'm fed up, and it's got to be called out. That's it. That's all I gotta say. Anybody who believes in violence over free speech is a fucking moron. You know, you should be sitting in a jail cell. That's where you should belong. And then maybe somebody in jail can give you a lesson on hard knocks, because I think that's what we need. That's what some of these kids need, honestly. Let them sit in a jail cell for 30 days and see how their mouths run in a block, and see how fast they get fucking tuned up, because that's exactly what will happen. Bunch of morons. It's bad enough they got snitch lines, folks. They even have snitch lines snitching on people that they set up so they can call the police. Fuck. Unbelievable, man. I apologize for my swearing, folks. I apologize. I'm upset because we have good people out there canvassing for signatures. We're all working our hardest to get these signatures. You know, we're taking our time doing it, and we're doing it right. We're smiling. We're trying to be as confident and polite as possible and professional. And yet we have to deal with these idiots who just target us with violence, you know? Like, to think, in the last week, we had one doofus try to run us off the road, and then we got another doofus that attacked canvassers and assaulted them, right? Because I'm not having my own way today. Yeah, don't let those rainbow colors confuse you with your mind full of hate. But anyways, that's it. God bless Alberta. God bless every one of you who follow this page. I really appreciate it. And that's all I gotta say. And check out Alberta Proud's video about the recent. I posted it, and you guys can check that out. And we also have a new group called Alberta Radio Community. Join the group. I'm assigning mods right now, so we can help manage the group, and everybody can share some content, and we can communicate a lot better. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Much love, everyone. God bless this great, beautiful Alberta that we love so much.